everyone, my name is Giovanna Proença, and today we're going to talk about jQuery of front-end development libraries of freeCodeCamp. So basically in this mini course, we're going to learn how can we manipulate jQuery and what this is. So basically jQuery is the most popular JavaScript tool that we have available, and using this jQuery we can add some JavaScript in an easier way. It's like Bootstrap but for JavaScript. Bootstrap for CSS, jQuery it's the same idea but for JavaScript. Okay, so let's start. In here they're telling us to first add a script element at the top of our page. So here, as we see this comment, we're working with the same project we finished in the Bootstrap course, okay? In the Bootstrap course, we created this jQuery playground, we created these buttons, all right? So right now we're going to start working with JavaScript. So here we have to create a script tag, okay? And then here, your browser will run any JavaScript inside of this script element, okay? And inside of this, we're going to add this code here, $document.ready function, and then we have to close here with a curly bracket parenthesis. Okay, once we do this, what this means, every time we're gonna load our page, we're gonna wait our HTML and CSS to appear in the page, and then we're gonna start running the JavaScript. Otherwise, we're gonna start running JavaScript before the HTML and CSS is done in the page, and it might crash our program. Okay, so this is pretty much what we need. Great, and we're not passing the last one. So here I am missing the semicolon. Great. So here, like we can see, now that we have the document ready function, every time we're going to create a new function, we need to start with a $sign, all right? Now we're gonna work with the buttons. So basically, we're gonna make the buttons bounce, all right? And to do this, we're gonna add this message, $button, and why button? Because button is the name of the element we have in here. We have the button tag, and we're gonna add a class called animated bounce. And animated bounce is a class that exists in jQuery, and we'll create this animated bounce that they mentioned, okay? And like we can see in here, the page at the beginning will do the button will go up and down. Like we saw, we can do this using the name of the tag, but we can also do this using the name of the class of a particular element we have in our HTML. In our case, we're going to work with the well class, okay? Because we can see here we have two wells. All right, we have the left well. Here we have well and left well, and we have well and right well. So basically, it's this div here in gray that we have. So right now, we're going to use the same idea here, $, quotation mark, dot well, add class, and we're gonna add the class called shake, animated shake, okay? And now as we can see, the gray div is changing, okay? And then don't forget the semicolon. Yes, that's the same thing as we did for the class, we can do for the ID. Here they're telling us to work with the ID target 3, this button target 3, okay? And we're gonna use the animate fade out. So in here, we're gonna do the same structure as we have in here, so I'm gonna copy and paste. Instead of well, I'm gonna use a hash target 3, and we're gonna add an animated and fade out. And now if we see the button disappear, okay, that's pretty much what we need. Now we're gonna start creating other functions. So right now we're gonna remove everything we did, and we're gonna let open only the ready function, okay? And then we're gonna start working in the next project, in the next task, other things. In here, now we're gonna use the ideas that we did previously, okay? So right now they're telling us to add a class to the button, animated to all buttons. We're gonna add the class shake to all buttons with class.btn. And for the btn primary class, we're gonna add the btn primary class to the button with ID target 1. Okay, so in here, we're going to work here, the first one, we're gonna use the button, okay, and we're gonna add the message animate. That's pretty much what we need, okay. For the class.btn, btn, we're gonna add the class shake. So now we're gonna see all the buttons shaking, I believe, at least, okay. And finally, we're gonna add for our class.btn primary, we're gonna add in our ID target 1, we're gonna add the class btn primary, and we should see here a little bit of difference. I'm not sure if this will work, but let's see. Here they're telling us that we're having an issue, so let's see. Okay, so I think we have one extra closing thing in here. Now it's working, great. So the shake, the animate we're giving to all the buttons, the shake for all the btn class, and the primary, the target 1, we're changing the bootstrap, and we're adding the btn primary. Btn primary, if you don't remember, you can check the bootstrap part where we explain the buttons we are available to create. okay? Now we're gonna remove the btn default of our target 2, and if we take a look in here, our target 2, we have here a btn default, and we're gonna remove, so we can use this remove class, okay? The same thing that we can add class, we are able to remove. So here I'm gonna paste this, and we are removing here. If we take a look at the target 2, we don't have anymore the same thing as we had before. Here we should remove from all buttons. So here instead of target, I'm gonna remove from button, and now all the buttons does not contain anymore the style of a btn default. Now we're gonna change the color of the button using jQuery, okay? And we can use this function here, .css. So our idea is to change the target 1 to red, okay? I'm gonna copy this structure. It will change to blue, but then we're gonna change to red. If we take a look in here, it's changing to blue, but we can add here red. So normally we use CSS, the property you wanna change, and the value of the property you wanna add. And right now here is in red, okay? Great. Now we're gonna work with another function that is this prop function here that allows you to adjust the properties of the elements. In this case, we want to disable only the target 1 button, okay? So in here, we're gonna do this $, quotation mark, hash target 1, because we want to change specifically this element, .prop. And now we're gonna do the property disable. We're gonna make this to true. Okay, and right now, if you see, we're not able to click anymore. We have this icon when we hover. So now this button is disabled. We're able to change text inside of an element using jQuery. And here we have 2 types. We have the HTML function that lets you add HTML text and text within an element, or the text function that only alters text without adding text. In this particular case, they are telling us to change the button without the target 4, so this button here, by emphasizing its text. To emphasize the text, we're gonna use the em tag, okay? And since we're gonna use a tag, we're not able to use the text function because the text function only changes the text. We have to use the HTML function because it accepts a tag, an HTML tag, to emphasize it, okay? So in here, we're gonna use a $, and here we wanna change specifically the target 2 button, so hash target 4, .html, and here we're gonna say what is the message. So I'm gonna open up the em tag, I'm gonna say hash target 4, and then I'm gonna close the em